Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Health Education here at Casumnas River College High, El Dorado Center, Folsom Center, and everybody at home. I want to remind everybody we have a test next time we meet, right? Chapters 5, 6, and 7. 87 questions will be multiple choice and true and false, and 13 questions will be muscles. The muscles you should know because I already give you what's going to be on the test. If you get any of those muscles wrong, I'll be really wondering what's happening with your study habits. So you should get all those right. We're a little bit ahead of schedule, so I asked one of our die-hard guest speakers to come in a bit early. Oh, bad choice of word. To come in a little bit early before the end of the semester. He usually comes in towards the end of the semester, but he was available, which we're very lucky to have. This is Gary. Gary is here to speak to you on HIV/AIDS. And he has been speaking in the health classes for several years. I don't know how many now, 5, 6, 6? So and he can talk, so no sign language. Gary is open to you asking questions, and I think as he starts to speak and tells you the things that he'd like to tell you, questions will come up in your mind. Feel free to ask him anything you want. If he doesn't want to answer it, he'll just say, I don't want to answer that. So it's not a problem. I don't think he's ever done that, though. So feel free to ask him questions. I think it makes it a little easier for any speaker if you ask questions. And it also helps him to know, what things he might be able to answer. Okay, so without further ado, I'll let Gary go ahead and educate all of you.
Educate you all. Okay, my name is Gary. I'm 32 years old, and I have done this. I think this is what's given me such a longevity in my my aliveness. It's coming and talking to a younger crowd, of which I was once one, sitting in college. First of all, I'm going to disclaim everything I say. I'm not a doctor. I've worked in this education field for gosh, probably about 8 years. And my only credibility is that I'm a 12-year survivor of AIDS, and so I think that's the disclaimer. I try to give some statistics, and my last little session, I looked back and I went, oh, God, way off. So I've tried my best in the short time that I have had here to make sure that if I do say some numbers wrong, and somebody out there in the real world out there saying, oh, they're calling up all the centers in town and saying you're a liability to the community. Hasn't happened, I don't think. Liz is telling me about it. Okay, so that was about that. I'm going to tell my story first, and then tell you about AIDS. Okay. I have a mom and a dad and a sister. I'm adopted. I never really fit in anywhere. And Dad left it when I was 10, and right when I started hitting puberty. And my fantasies were of guys, men. I knew right away I was gay. Of course, I had a host of women behind me, though, and men. I was dating a lot of girls in high school. Had one true love, and her name was Michelle. And me and my sister kind of grew up crazy with Mom, and we did a lot of drinking and found other things that would take us out of that horrible household that we lived in, and it worked for me very well. I pursued my career as a gay man, and also another life as had a high school sweetheart and did my high school thing, and also began burglary when I began delivering papers at like 15, and so I mean I was really on the road to ruin. And I think that's really important. But does that have to do with AIDS? there was no such thing then, and that's why I'm here now. There was no such thing. When I was 16 and sneaking into the local gay bar, there was no such thing. And in 1980, we'd say, before this really hit the fan hard, in the gay community, it was get all you can. And you were triumphant when you had numbers of people that you had had sex with. And I was like 15, and I believe I was racking them up. It was like everybody was partying like there was no tomorrow. And then there was this, my first experience with even hearing about the virus in like 1980 was in the bar. And can you imagine me like 15 and doing a lot of cocaine, and somebody's talking about this thing that's killing people traumatically and horribly, and people stepping over their friends, and in the Bay Area, and they didn't know what it was. It was called, they called it grid, gay-related, and it was gay-related, and of course the press back-paged it, and because it was killing gay people, and it got worse, and then more studies were done, and it was a hideous death, and they knew of no way of stopping this, and I heard about it, and somebody saying, oh, it's from poppers, which is an inhalant you take in your nose when you're dancing, and that's what it is, or it's just the lifestyle, that's what it is, and of course we know what it is today. I heard that, and I just paid it no never mind, because I wasn't doing inhalants. I was snorting cocaine. I did my coming out thing to my mom, and immediately went into horrible ridicule. Mississippi person from the 50s, and it just wasn't. It made no sense. So I ran away to San Francisco at a very young age, 1980, and a lot more cocaine and left. It was really the wrong time to be there, but I did what I did, and was kind of a hustler and a con for a while, and came home after ripping off a cocaine dealer, and and my life continued, and I continued to be a thief, and drinking and drugging, and this virus began to pick up. By 1985, I was 19. Time magazine put something on the front page talking about this disease, and how you can get it and you should get tested. And I was working for my mother's business with DDs, developmentally disabled, and that was very stressful. But I took it on myself to go and get tested finally, after throwing my high school sweetheart out, or, battling with her and not wanting, to have that life of, welfare babies and, bad cars. And I got tested, and it was positive. And it's called HTLV, so she called it. And it was very, there was, the community here was, it was 1985, it was only 10 years after they figured it out. And she said, she asked me a myriad of questions. Well, do you drink? A little. Do you have a girlfriend? Yeah. You need to tell her. Hell no. And she said, you have 4 years to live. I'm like 19 years old. That would put me at 22. So I quit AIDS is a process of losing everything one at a time. And I heard that when I was 22. And it starts with your future. And it ends with, your sight, your hearing, your health, and your life. It's like you're like a rotting piece of fruit. You're still on the vine and you're rotting anyway. You're alive and your body just deteriorates and you die. Hideous, hideous. And I didn't know, and that's why I'm here. Because there's nobody in my schools or my classroom saying, if you're going to do this stuff, do it safer. Nobody. If you're going to do this, do it safer. Protect yourself. And it's not who you do, it's what you do. And so, how did we go from there? Okay, so I was after that I did cut off everybody for about a year. I was totally silent. for 2 years. I didn't tell a living soul for 2 years that I had this, because it was the stigma behind it. You know, I was the insecure little junkie that I was. I spent some time with at my father's house because I got caught for burglary before I was 18, of course. And then he passed his bar here in Sacramento, and he lived down there. And I went down there and partied around. Had some women on the beach, and you know, didn't seem to be any gay men anywhere down in Southern California. So I just did what I did. And, suicide attempts, turned 18. I won a writing award before that, and I'm going back before I got tested, and won a scholarship. And drugs and alcohol kind of destroyed that. I left Redondo Beach and was sent back home because I'd wrecked the car in L.A. after winning a scholarship. And went to Hollywood and had a party and wrecked the car and lied about it, and came home back to the dungeon, and you know, got girlfriend, blah blah. I went back to college, and during this period that I tested, because I wanted to know what my future held for me. If this was in my future, I wanted to know. Dropped out of school, cut off all relationships with anybody that drank, and just kind of went into seclusion on my mother's property, and just worried about it. What was going to happen? I had 4 years. What am I going to do? You know, it's fine. 4 years is good. I could handle that. That would be fine if it was going to be 4 years. And then after all the drug, some more. You know, I said I can do it in 2. You know, they say 4 years. I say I'd do it in 2. You know, and it didn't happen. And about along the end of the 2 years, they said, "Seems that you can live 10 years." No. I don't want to live 10 years like this. I don't want to live 10 years drinking and drugging. I want to do something here on the planet. And I mean, it's just an inner thing inside of myself. Some people say it's God, and I'm really angry at God right now. And I guess that's okay. You have to know something. You have to know that, believe in the person to be mad at him. And so I quit drinking and I quit drugging and entered a program for that, which I'm still in, and a 12-step program. I can say that without. And remained there and started working on why I was so hateful and so antisocial, and I started telling people who I was, which is part of it. And it was all about carrying a message to other people, and being of service to my fellow man. And so life got really good, and what happened? Oh yeah, miracles of miracles. My sister quit drinking, and the whole family circle just broke up, and my sister told my mother about my virus in one of her drinking sprees, and I handled it very well. And my dad was the last one to know. I sent him my hospital release papers in '92 because I had pneumocystis pneumonia and wasn't expected to live. And had lots of expiration dates, you know, and I lived past all of them. And so my dad was a West Pointer, or a West Point dropout, I should say. Very conservative, very liberal, or not liberal, conservative. I'm a liberal conservative, right? Very, very hard-headed. You know, put the always have the AC down at 71. You know, and you know, counting and couponing, and you know, and he's a very rich man, probably for that same reason. And I was very afraid of telling him that. I remember him picking me up at the bus station after the San Francisco trip and saying, "I don't care what, I have all this money, and I don't care what you do with your life. I don't care what you do in your life, but do something with it." So my dad didn't leave me with a whole lot. So anyway, he got my hospital release papers and became very supportive, in a sense, and started flying me out to Ohio every summer to his nice house and his nice land, and that was very nice. So I have had some support, but on the other hand, there's lots of denial about this disease, and I don't know why. I think cancer patients had the same problem when cancer was, you don't want to tell anybody about it, and this has been the best thing for me, is to tell somebody about it. So I had pneumocystis pneumonia in '92, which is one of the opportunist infections that settle down on people that have no immune system. My immune system was very low. Then I lost, I was like at 200 pounds, and I went down to 158. My T cells went down to 58. And everybody came and shook my hand and said, bye. And except for one person, that's David Mack. He said, I ain't saying bye to you yet, he said. So anyway, I have a lot of support in my life, and that's incredible, because I thought that I was going to be alone. I thought I was going to be alone, and for a time there I have faced discrimination. I've faced a lot of things, some self-imposed, some discrimination flat out. I was supposed to be at somebody's wedding to be his best man, and his wife said, I don't want him in my wedding. So that was the end of that whole relationship. And my friend, you know, I've lost probably about 9 friends, and I have a myriad of friends that are with this virus, and there's hope on the horizon. This disease has the ability to wipe out the human race. It really does. It's sexually transmitted. It's how we reproduce. Babies are being born with it. So, any questions about my life there? Something you don't know? Yes, go ahead, please.
What about your high school sweetheart?
Oh, well, okay, that's an even good thing. Okay, after retesting, I sobered up in '87, and started trying to take some responsibility. As for women, there were 3 women. The one that I was talking, high school sweetheart, was had kids after that, and I just assumed that she was okay. And one, you know, I mean, you can't hunt beach bimbos down and say, hey. I don't think I've been responsible for anybody getting infected. So I didn't stop having sex, of course. I started doing it safer. I'm sure there were times that I was unsafe. And there was a female who there was one female, we'll just call her Vodka Mary, and she had 2 kids at 19, and a husband who was in the airborne division, and I don't know. I ran into her recently, but I wouldn't have a clue as to where to say, hey, you've there's a letter, because I have been through some training, a letter where you these fictitious letters that you give to each classroom. You know, when you're in a classroom, I give you these letters with your name on top of it, and it's an explanation. This is, hey, listen, I just tested positive, and maybe you should go get tested, since we've had intercourse and unsafely. And so I just think about that. Think about receiving a letter like that from somebody, and the fear that would instill in you. So, is there a flashing light? Yes.
Hi. I've been watching you, and I just have a question. I see that it's like it takes a little bit of work to keep focused on your train of thought.
Yes.
And I know this disease is very progressive, and like you said, it deteriorates everything one step at a time.
Yep.
Do you think out of these 12 years that it's taken a toll on your mind, I mean, I know mentally it has, but I mean, physically taken a toll on the brain, or, do you feel anything, or?
That's a good question. I wonder sometimes about that myself. I do a lot of therapy and go to a lot of places, wonder about my sanity. I've always been a hyper-vigilant person and very, very speedy. I've had an apple for breakfast and about a quart of coffee, and generally that makes me buzz around. I've heard that, and I have my denials about such things. I know that it has taken a toll on me, most definitely, and whether it's mental state. Liz, you've known me for 6 years. You think I'm swaying in any way?
I think that part of the way that you're perceiving Gary is just part of his personality.
Okay, well, I wasn't really saying that to be insulting or anything.
Well,
don't
it's not, yeah.
Okay, don't take it like that. It's just that my uncle just died last year from AIDS, and I lived with someone with AIDS. I was around him. Through everything from when it started to when it ended, you know, and I understand what you're saying by this is deteriorate, and it gets to your mind is what I'm trying to say.
It's called dementia.
And it was such a drastic change, but it started so slowly, you know what I mean? And I just wondered if maybe, you know, I didn't get a chance to ask him if he could feel it or if he, you know, what was going on with him, you know, because it was such a close relationship that it wasn't like that. So.
I have problems with high stress situations. Last year I was losing keys and losing all kinds of things, and the doctors asked me about that, about dementia, and they'd ask me memory questions, you know, like, and I still remember that question, Mr. Doctor Man, or Mrs. Doctor Man, lady. What was it? Flower, pencil, hat. You know, she says that to me so that I can maybe, you know, see if my memory's swaying. And I'm I'm almost homeless because this is financially very burdenous. And you move in crazy places because that's what you can afford, and crazy people want to, you know, be crazy, and I can't handle that. And so she asked me that question and went about the medical thing and forgot to ask me. And didn't even remember what 3 words she put out there. And I called her up and I said, hey, pencil, hat, flower. So I think I've passed all those tests at this point. Hello again.
Well, it's just still me. Thank you.
Okay. Well, no, hey, thank you for the question. And I didn't take that insultive. I have AIDS, and those things are there, and it helps me. You know, that's really later stage AIDS when you know, your hair stops growing right, and your teeth start coming out, your gums start receding, and you know, there's lots of things that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes, that occur, and your memory goes too.
Yeah. Well, I see you to be very intelligent and everything, so thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to still be intelligent. My problem. I don't think I deserve this. Okay, so I think we kind of stepped ahead with that question. That's good. Anybody else got a question? It's flashing. Yes.
Hi, Gary.
Yes.
Hi. I just want to thank you for having the courage to come up and share with us your experience, because it's really it was hard to do, I'm sure, and I just appreciate it when I listen to you and I hear the story. It helps to understand, and I'm trying to think of the words. Yeah, the inside when you're looking at the AIDS virus, the virus, and it's very personal, and it's wonderful to identify with the human being, you know, as far as the experience, what it really does to people. So thank you very much.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Okay.
Almost made me cry.
God bless you.
I don't know, that's why I'm doing it, I guess. Anybody else now? Okay. Anybody in here want it? Yes, sir.
Yeah,
we
what
got
exactly do you get out of doing these, talking to classes and stuff? I mean, not as far as like money or whatever, but what do you personally get out of it?
Who? You said something?
I just said he doesn't get any money.
I don't get any
I know,
money.
that's.
I get lunch afterwards.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna give you any rhetoric. This is probably about the only thing that I really do with my life right now. It's I mean, it's just all part of having AIDS.
But do you give?
I don't get anything. I get to do something. I get to come in here and feel like I've done something on the planet.
Is this what you do, like all day or consistently or something?
No,
or is this just
it kind of sagged. It kind of sagged. There's a I used to speak with lots of agencies, and there's a higher, you know, I did my time as a gay man out there, and there's other people getting infected. So yeah, to spread this to the gay community, and you know, I don't know how much I did that. I've always done students, always from the start. There was my first real class was a place where they're juvenile release, people getting out of juvenile hall. It was a big, massive room, and I went in there through one of the centers. One of the centers was fresh then. They said, "Hey, you're young. Oh, you're young. Come speak to these kids about it." And it was my first time doing it, only because that I didn't have it. I didn't have it, and my future was ruined because I didn't know what was going to happen. That I could do these things, but I had to do them safer. No clue in the world. That's why I'm here. That's what I get out of this. And maybe I've done something. You know, I had some dreams. They're gone. They're saying, "Oh, you're not still too young," but you know, I just see the hourglass of the sand in the bottom of it. It's, you know, it's, so I don't want to do this right now. I'm crying. So that's why I do it. Yeah, it keeps me alive. It's kept me alive all this time. Yes, hello.
Hi. I was wondering, have you tried any of the new experimental drugs or anything like that? And how long are they predicting your life expectancy now, or are you predicting?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I've had lots of expiration dates. In May of last year, I turned 31, and in May of last year, I hit 30 T cells. I had 58. Came out of the hospital. They said, "You have 8 months to live, and take all of this stuff." And I said, "No." And everybody said I had this much time, and it's this much time, and I've been a sinking ship for 12 years, and that's the process of AIDS. Sometimes I have this incredible ego, and I think that maybe it's something that I did, and I have people saying that it's just common. Some people live longer, some people don't. I've had friends that died within the first 4 years. We have a mental picture of what's going to happen to us, and we go and carry that out in a lot of cases. Mine has been one day at a time, and with this incredible, you know, I would have been a good, you know, soldier, and I don't know what else to say about that. I took AZT for 6 months in 1989. That was when it was first coming out, and I said, "Ugh, I had to take this. I don't want to live feeling like this for the rest of my life. Even if I have 2 more days, I don't want to feel like this. The stuff made me feel sick." And so I told the doctor, "I don't want to take this." "You're a very foolish man." So I mean, it's a mental thing as well. And I think any disease, any kind of disease, is a mental thing. We have power over our lives. We really do.
Thank you.
Yes. Was that any close to? I'm going to talk about the experimental things. I know I gave you some rhetoric there around the block, but so I hit 30 T cells, and the new medicine was coming out, and I don't want to say that I don't trust the doctors, because they have saved my life a few times, or no, twice. That's all you get, twice. And I refuse to take anything else unless I saw it close up on friends and of how it made me feel. In August of last year, I started taking this medication. They call it the protease inhibitors. We'll call them inhibitors from now on. And I had some problems. I had some things. Since I got out of the hospital, I had little things were growing on my body, and they weren't cancer, and they didn't know what they were. It took me 4 years to find out what they were. "Oh, it's a boil." Okay, a boil, that's fine. So I'd had these forever, and doctors couldn't figure out what it was. And I guess you know by now I don't have too much for doctors. And so I took these protease inhibitors, and I took about 80% of them, because it's really hard to take something 3 times a day with food. And these boils that had been there for 4 years went away immediately. So I started getting very scared and very afraid. Oh my gosh, this works. And so after that point, I just started taking them at a little more rigid state. There's a thing called a viral load, and the CD4 count, which is your T cells. My T cells were at 30 in May of last year. Okay, at this point I can barely walk, because I've been moving around all over the place, trying to find a house, save my stuff, save my art stuff, save everything, and ended up at Friendship Park, which is homeless shelter, shaking hands with people I know in the community of the service community, volunteers and people who told me, hey, we got a place, we'll put you in there. It was like that big, seriously that big. But that was fine. I stayed there 6 months, like I said I was going to, and then move somewhere else. And it took a lot out of me. Took a lot out of me physically. Taking the pills all the time, you know. My viral load went down from 160,000